as I said, holonomics as a practice methodology is something I've taken several years to develop. And Caroline Hartridge here is a senior medical student, and this is her last day of medical school. And after all of her clinical experience is about to start off for her family practice residency in New York, I think that she's in a unique position to talk about how she sees this information and to tell you what she thinks that you need to know about it.
Well, I think it would be interesting for you to provide, thank you first for having me here.
Of course.
And letting me rotate with you. I think it would be interesting to provide your explanation, maybe more biophysical explanation of how thoughts and that mind-body concept come together. So how can these thought patterns or trauma that I'm holding emotionally manifest physically? And can you offer us a biophysical explanation of that?
Sure. The first thing I would say is that we have expressions that we skip over because we're so used to them that we don't even really think about anymore. And one of them is the phrase, "what matters?" As human beings, we notice that the world around us is constantly changing. And as we become human adults, we realize that we can change what is happening around us by our actions. But before we act, we have to think. And so what matters is our choices, because that is what changes the physical world around us in ways that affect us. So when I'm working with patients and I'm feeling their physiologic responses and how they're holding their bodies against all their imagined stressors and worries and threats, what matters to them is affected in a hierarchical way, from everything from how gravity is pulling down on their body to their emotional state and how they feel today, as well as physiological elements of their insides that are changing how they feel inside, which changes their gut feelings, which affects their emotional brain, which affects everything else. So to me, the body-mind stuff is an element of how you see the patient when you first listen to their chief complaint, and becomes a map often for how you help the patient really heal from whatever the confusion and dysfunction is that is presenting as a disease or symptoms in the patient at the moment.
Thank you.